I, Patricia, 28F, have never been the kind of woman who dreamed about being a housewife. No tea parties with imaginary guests. No daydreams about baking pies or folding laundry while a husband comes home and kisses me on the cheek like a 1950s movie. I dreamed about boardrooms, ideas on whiteboards, my name etched on an office door. From the moment I got my first job offer out of university, I knew what I was chasing. Not status. Not applause. Freedom. Identity. Impact. So when I met David, it felt like fate had finally given me someone who saw me beyond the spreadsheets and deadlines. He was kind, attentive, ambitious in his own quiet way. He never flinched when I talked about long nights at the office or my 5-year plan. In fact, he used to say, "Your drive is sexy as hell." We got married after 2 years of dating. And for the first few months, everything was fine. Not perfect, not a fairy tale, but stable, safe, comfortable. Until the conversations started shifting. First, it was subtle. His mother would say things like, "You work too hard, dear. When will you make time to start a family? A woman can't have 2 full-time jobs, career and home. One always suffers." I brushed it off. It wasn't unusual. Generational differences, I told myself. She came from a different time. But then David started echoing her. "You know mom's right, babe. You don't want to be one of those women who regrets not starting a family sooner." I smiled, nodded, and changed the subject. I didn't realize then, I was already being softened for the blow. It wasn't a request. It was a summons. One evening, after I came home late from a presentation that had gone exceptionally well, David was already waiting. Arms crossed, no smile. He didn't ask about my day. Didn't ask if I ate. He said, "We need to talk." And just like that, the conversation I'd been dodging finally arrived. He didn't waste time. "I think you should resign. It's time we start a family. Properly. Like how my parents raised us." I blinked. "You want me to quit my job?" He nodded. "It's tradition. The women in our family stay home and raise the kids. They create a real home. You're always tired, always chasing meetings. It's not sustainable." I laughed at first, nervous, awkward. "You can't be serious." But he was. Dead serious. "You've had your career fun. But now it's time to be a wife. A mother. Not a company executive. That job isn't going to love you back." I remember staring at him like he had grown a second head. He wasn't asking me to compromise. He was demanding I surrender. I tried to explain. Calmly. Thought maybe he just didn't get it. "This isn't about fun. This is my life's work. David. I've worked harder than anyone I know. I've sacrificed, built, pushed. I can't just walk away because it's convenient for your image of a perfect family." But he didn't budge. "You're being selfish," he said. "Marriage is about sacrifice. My mother left her job. My sister did the same. That's what women in our family do. And no one complains." That's when I realized this wasn't a personal request, it was a generational expectation wrapped in guilt. I looked him in the eye and said, "Then maybe I don't belong in your family." His silence was the first real answer I got. He didn't hold me. He didn't comfort me. He just walked away. And in that moment, I felt the fracture form, not just between us, but between the version of me I used to be, and the one who was about to be reborn. The days after that conversation were a blur of cold silences and passive-aggressive stabs. David barely looked at me at home. When he did, it was with quiet disappointment, as though I had failed some unspoken test. Then came his family. His mother called the next morning. "David tells me you're not ready to be a wife yet." "That's okay. Some women just need more time to grow out of the self-centered phase. I bit my tongue so hard it nearly bled. Then she said it. You should be grateful you married into a family with values. Do you know how many women would kill to be in your shoes? I wanted to scream, do you know how many women would kill to get out of those shoes? Instead, I said nothing. I hung up politely. That silence was my first small rebellion. But the campaign had begun. Suddenly, every family dinner became a tribunal. Aunties and uncles I barely knew started chiming in with unsolicited advice. You work too much. You'll regret this when you're older and childless. What is a woman without a family to care for? Even David's sister, who had quietly given up her own dreams to stay home with 3 children, told me I should count my blessings. I wanted to ask her if she still dreamed about the career she left behind. If her eyes still followed the skyline and wondered what could have been. But I stayed quiet. For a while, I wondered if I really was the problem. If maybe I was too stubborn, too selfish. Was it wrong to want both career and family? Was I naive? The thing is, manipulation doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers just loud enough to drown out your own voice. Until one afternoon. David came home early. I was working on a client proposal. He didn't greet me. He stood in the doorway, arms folded, expression flat. You need to choose, he said. I looked up. Choose what? He pointed at my laptop. That. Or this marriage. And just like that, the mask came off. I stared at him, stunned. He didn't flinch. You knew this was coming, Patricia. We've talked about this. I won't build a life with someone who doesn't respect our family's way. Our family's way. Funny how it never felt like it included me. I stood, slowly. You're giving me an ultimatum? I'm giving you a chance to fix this before it's too late. He said it like he was doing me a favor. Like saving me from myself. I was quiet for a beat. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed steady. I'm not resigning from my job, David. He scoffed. Then don't be surprised when I file for divorce. The words hit me like a slap, but not in the way he expected. Because instead of fear, I felt clarity. Go ahead, I said. He blinked, taken aback. I'm not going to beg you to love me as I am. And I won't apologize for having ambition. He shook his head. You're being ridiculous. No, I said. I've just stopped being afraid. But the intimidation didn't end there. That evening, his mother called again. This time she wasn't pretending to be sweet. You are ruining a perfectly good man. Women like you think they can have it all until they end up alone, bitter, and unloved. If you leave this marriage, you'll shame not just yourself, but all of us. Then came the veiled threat. If you think anyone else will accept you after this, think again. We'll make sure they know who you are. My hand trembled as I ended the call. I sat in silence for an hour, staring at the walls of my apartment, walls I had decorated, a home I had helped build, a life I had hoped to expand. And I realized something. They weren't angry because I was breaking a rule. They were angry because I was breaking free. They had expected obedience. A quiet surrender. What they got instead was a woman who'd had enough. And I wasn't done yet. There's something liberating about anger when it's no longer rooted in fear. The moment I told David to go ahead with the divorce, something shifted inside me. The old version of me, the one who hesitated, who held back to keep the peace, she was gone. I didn't just want to survive this. I wanted to show them who I really was. I started small. I reached out to David's sister. I remembered how tired she looked every time I visited, how robotic her smiles were. She had given up everything, her career in architecture, her social life, her independence, all to be the perfect wife and mother. I asked her one question, are you happy? She paused. Then she said, "Don't do what I did." That was all I needed to hear. I started documenting everything. The threats. The conversations. The messages. David's family, so proud of their values, had no idea I had screenshots of their manipulation, recordings of their threats, and proof of how they'd tried to break me down. Then came the breaking point. At a family gathering, a birthday party for David's father, they tried to corner me. I wasn't planning to go at first, but I realized I had to face them one last time before I exposed it all. His mother pulled me aside. His aunt joined her. Then David. The trap was set. "We've spoken to our family lawyer," she said. "If you don't resign soon, David will file on grounds of incompatibility. You'll get nothing." David smirked. "You'll lose your home, your car, and you'll walk away with nothing but your pride. Is that what you want?" I looked around the room. So many people who once smiled in my face, now standing quietly, watching me like I was some disgrace. But I didn't flinch. "I won't need anything from you," I said. "Because when I leave, I'll take the only thing you can't replace, my truth." They laughed. But not for long. A week later, I posted my side of the story. I didn't use names. I didn't rant. I wrote a calm, detailed account of what had happened. I spoke about the pressure, the generational abuse disguised as tradition, the way they tried to erase me to preserve their pride. I included messages, dates, direct quotes, screenshots with the names blurred but the venom intact. And it went viral. Because it wasn't just my story. It was every woman who had been told she had to choose. Every woman who was shamed for wanting more than a kitchen and a crib. People started reaching out. Women I had never met, thanking me. Men apologizing for once holding the same beliefs. Even former in-laws messaged me privately, saying they admired my strength even if they couldn't say so publicly. And then David called. He was furious. "You've humiliated me. My colleagues are asking questions. My mom's friends won't stop talking about it." I told him, "Good. Maybe now you'll understand what humiliation really feels like." Then he said it. "We can still fix this. Delete the post. Come home. We'll pretend it didn't happen. Come home." The audacity. "No," I said. "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." And I hung up. It felt final. Not like a break. Not like an ending. More like a rebirth. I should have known they wouldn't give up quietly. The viral post wounded their pride, especially David's mother, who had spent years building the illusion of a perfect, traditional family. Their silence didn't last long. They came back not with apologies but with vengeance. They tried to flip the narrative. Suddenly, I was mentally unstable. A liar. An attention seeker. David's uncle called mutual friends and said I was trying to destroy a good man. His cousin hinted that I'd fabricated the screenshots. Even David tried reaching out to my workplace, under a fake name, claiming I was in breach of professional ethics. But the thing about trying to slander a woman who already walked through fire? You can't burn her twice. I sent my HR team the screenshots of the harassment and the false claims. I had already reported David and his family to the legal department for slander and digital harassment. Their petty games turned into a file in a law firm's office. Still, they escalated. One afternoon, someone egged my car outside the office. A week later, a stranger showed up at my apartment door with papers claiming I owed money for wedding expenses, ridiculous, but laughable attempts to intimidate me into silence. And then came the most disgusting blow: they used my own parents. David's mother, who once called me ungrateful, showed up at my parents' home with a twisted story. We tried everything with her. We just wanted her to be happy. Maybe she needs guidance. She's still your daughter, isn't she? They played the culture card, the family card, the honor card. And for a moment, my mother faltered. Maybe it's better to just compromise, Patricia. Just take some time off, maybe it'll help the marriage. That night, I cried, not because I was unsure, but because it's exhausting to constantly be the only one choosing yourself. But by morning, I was done crying. I called my lawyer. I filed the divorce myself. When the court papers reached David, the silence was immediate. He didn't call. He didn't text. He didn't send his army of relatives. For the first time in months, maybe years, there was peace. But I wasn't done. Not yet. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to ruin him. I just wanted my life back. On my terms. And I wanted other women to know they could do the same. I wrote a follow-up article, not naming anyone, just sharing my journey. They called it tradition. I called it a prison. They said I was selfish. I was just tired of disappearing. They told me I was nothing without them. But here I am, standing, thriving, and finally free. It wasn't a battle cry. It was a whisper to every woman who ever doubted her worth. In the weeks that followed, I moved into a new place. It was small but mine. Quiet but peaceful. Unfurnished, but full of hope. People say healing is a straight road. It's not. Some nights I missed what I thought we had. Some nights I questioned if it was all worth it. But then I'd wake up, make my own coffee, walk into a job I loved. Breathe air unpolluted by guilt, and I'd remember, I chose myself. I walked away. And I survived. No, scratch that. I conquered. It was a Sunday afternoon when I saw him again. I was at a friend's engagement party, feeling freer than I had in years, dressed in a deep blue dress that hugged my body like I'd finally stopped apologizing for taking up space. I caught his eye across the room. He hesitated, then walked toward me like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't tried to ruin me. Like he hadn't mocked my ambition, fed off my silence, and turned love into a contract I never signed. Patricia, he said, you look good. I looked him straight in the eye. I know. He gave a soft chuckle like he thought the charm still worked. I just wanted to talk. Clear the air. He tried to paint it as concern. Asked if I was really happy doing everything alone. Slipped in some passive remark about how cold and unfair the world can be for single women. I smiled. Because he didn't get it. He still thought I was playing a game. Still thought I needed reassurance. Still believed I needed someone to validate my choices. David, I said, this is the happiest I've ever been. Not because I'm alone. But because I'm finally free from people who mistook control for love. He blinked. You didn't just ask me to leave a job, David. You asked me to shrink for the rest of my life. Your family wanted a daughter-in-law who obeyed, not a partner who dreamed. I wasn't broken. I just didn't belong in your cage. He tried to interrupt, but I raised a hand. This isn't a discussion. You don't get to redeem yourself in my story. I didn't burn our bridge. I built a whole damn city across the water. His eyes darted away, whether in shame or disbelief, I didn't care. That night, I walked home alone under the quiet stars. There were no fireworks. No loud endings. Just peace. That's the thing about true closure, it's not always dramatic. Sometimes, it's the quiet certainty that you will never again let someone shrink you to fit their comfort. I left my old life with nothing but my dignity, and now I had everything. I had me. And for the first time in my life. That was enough.